We are doing a brand new pour today that was inspired by the adventures of one of my most favorite Sudsers and most favorite humans on the planet. But before I tell you what that is, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You're at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And we are doing a brand new tribute bar. Now, this bar was inspired by one of my favorite people in the universe, who is a respiratory therapist. And she is actually currently, as we speak, in New York, in Manhattan, helping out with the COVID effort. And I find that to be so inspiring and so amazing. And that got me thinking about all of the first responders that are doing their thing on the front line while we are, doing our thing with the masks and the distancing and everything. Now, this particular Sudser, we grew up together in a very small town in Colorado, and she left said small town in Colorado to join the fray in Manhattan and help out there. And that's cool. That's amazing. And so, while I'm making YouTube videos, she's like saving lives, and she does that every day, right? Like literally all I do every day is make soap, and literally what she does every day is save lives with or without COVID, and it's incredible. And I really wanted to make a bar for her specifically, but also for all first responders out there that, become our lifeline. And so that's what this bar is, and it is a fun pour. I have never done this one before, so you are definitely along for the ride with me on this one, and let's go check it out. Okay, so this is the making of the Lifeline soap, and again, this was inspired by one of my Sudsers and friends from back home who, left Colorado and is in Manhattan, fighting the COVID fight. And it really made me think about everything and all the people that are in the medical profession that have been, going through all of this while we're doing our social distancing thing and all that jazz. And they're on the front lines doing their thing every day, and it's just amazing. And so I really did want to make something to sort of, honor them and everything that they are doing. And so this particular soap, the oil blend here, it's a basic 3 blend for me. So it's equal parts coconut oil, olive oil, and palm. And the scent blend that's going to go into this is it's a part of the rosé that I use for the rosé soap in the wine line, because the Sudser that this is inspired by really loves the rosé soap. And then also it has rosemary and mint in it. And this is the kaolin that is going in, the kaolin clay that is dispersed in water, because I actually do want to play with some glycerin rivers with this one as well. And then the thing on the left there, that cardboard piece, that is what I'm going to be using for the sculpted layer to create the lifeline inside the bar, essentially. So a sculpted layer soap, you're pouring a portion of your batter into the mold, you're letting it set up, and then you're going to take something to it to sculpt the under layer, and then add more things to it. So this cardboard piece that George May cut out to look like a lifeline is what we'll be using to achieve that in the actual pour itself. Now, all of this looks really good, and it's totally ready to, do the pour thing, and maybe, that will make more sense. Instead of me just kind of talking about it, you can, see it in action. Okay, now we are on to the pour. Now I have the mold set up on the scale because I've never actually done this bar before. It's a first time pour for me, and I tend to be more, precise with the first pour than anything else, just so I can get a good idea of, how much soap needs to go into each section, and then, from then on, I totally just eyeball it. But for the first pour, I actually do things proper, and so I have about half the soap batter weighed out into the mold right now. And the batter that's in the mold now will need to set up before I can pull the cardboard through it and create, the heartbeat line. So that takes a while to get it firm enough to do this. And so, me and patience, it's not so much. So I very rarely do sculpted soaps for this exact reason. But this is the pour. You're just very slowly and with purpose going to pull your cardboard that you have cut out and designed through the mold and create, the thing, and that's awesome. And now to the not awesome part, it's putting the mica line on. So I started with a little spritzer, and it wasn't working great, and I got bored with this spritzing thing really early on, and it also was not like filling into, the dips there that were created with the cardboard. And so I thought maybe I should try, something else to get the mica line into the mold, really. And this sprayer was a really frustrating process. Like, it's not working. None of this is fun. It's still not going down into the cracks there, and no. And so I decided to, switch veins, try something else, and I pulled out the strainer to try to lay a mica line down with that. And, that also is not really working the way that I want it to, because again, you want to get for a mica line like this, since it's a sculpted layer and you have those little tiny indents in there, you want to have a really good, line laid down that actually are going into it's actually going into the indents, and that's still not happening with the strainer. It's getting all over the place. It's a massive mess. It's not fun. I don't like it. And then Georgia May suggested that we try a paintbrush technique to flick it on to the soap, and that actually seemed to work better. That's good. It's working out pretty well. It's getting in there. That's awesome. But I got bored with this right at this point, actually, and just went ahead and handed the mold over to Georgia May and said, "Hey, can you fix it, Miss Artist?" And she did. And so there it is, all beautiful and awesome, and she is 100% responsible for the mica line in all of this, unless it looks like crap, and then I take full responsibility. But yeah, so the mica line is in there, looks good. The next part is going to be putting in the heart there, which is very, very cute. And it is going to go kind of in the middle of the bar. We had left some dead space and flat space to put the heart, in, really. And then you're dealing with very thick batter at this point, right? So for something like this, I probably, for the next batch, I would actually probably do 2-part batch and just have essentially a half-size batch for the bottom layer, and then mix up a new batch of soap for the top once everything has, solidified and the sculpted layer has been pulled through, the mica line's been put on, so you have a fluid batter to put on the top of the mica line and the heart, because I'm worried that there are going to be a lot of dead spaces, essentially, in the mica lines and underneath the heart, that this really thick soap batter isn't going to just, fill up kind of organically. So I'm really having to push everything into the corners and bang it down to really reduce the potential for holes and air pockets in here, but I'm relatively certain that there's going to be a ton regardless. So that's, unfortunate, but I'm thinking that the entire time while I'm laying down this white soap, and I am done at this point. The mica line was not the easiest thing to do, and then the thick batter on top, and I'm certain that this whole entire batch is just an absolute fail, and I'm going to cut into it tomorrow, and it's going to look terrible. And so I just want to get it into the mold so I can stop looking at it, because I am not loving this right now. And I thought it was done, and then Georgia May goes, "Are you going to decorate the top with some of the red mica?" And so that's me doing that. But, you know, the audio from the actual, you know, the making of this, I am legitimately going, fine, let's decorate it. Here you go. Is that good? And yeah, it was humorous. I guess you had to be there. Or I could have just shared you the audio, but, you know, I didn't do that either. Yeah, so yes, George May, I'm going to decorate the top, and we put some mica onto the top of the soap, and I'm just going to mix it in a little bit and do the thing. And we are then going to put this guy in the oven. It will be C-popped because I do want to cut it tomorrow, and I am certain at this point that this soap is going to look awful when I cut into it. But you know, sometimes that happens. And it is time for the cut. So this has cured or set up overnight, and it looks really good. It's not overly soft, but still, you know, pliable enough to fix any sort of imperfections that, you know, may come of this, unless the imperfections are just huge, which I am expecting at this point. This is precisely what I was expecting right now. I was not looking forward to cutting into this bar, because I assumed it was going to be a huge disaster, just because it was disastrous, you know, actually putting everything together for this one. And that is what I got. And that is not a disaster at all. That is beautiful. And there's a hole there. Now, because this soap is so soft, because I cut it, you know, within, you know, a day of pouring it, it is still soft enough to sort of fix any sort of little imperfections and just fill in the holes with the end piece that you cut off that was in contact with, you know, the side of the mold. And that's okay. Like that little hole, that's fine. That's great. I love that. That's, you know, it's good. I expected much worse, honestly. And I love that the glycerin rivers did show up throughout all of this. It definitely added some cool texture to the look of the bar, which is nice. And yeah, that's a pretty bar of soap. I love this. This is so nice. And the scent blend actually ended up working really well too. So the rosé blend mixed with the rosemary and mint, it's a little bit sweet, but also very relaxing with the rosemary and the mint, and kind of, I don't know, it's a hard one to, well, that's a big hole right there. Yeah, gonna have to fix that one a lot. But again, it's a soft bar, so you can absolutely do that. But yeah, the scent blend worked really well, and actually, for a first blush at this soap, that's not too shabby. It's not my, you know, best work ever for a first timer, but it's, you know, it's pretty decent. I like that. That's definitely something that I am proud of, and I am excited to send to one of my Sudsers who, you know, she left Colorado and she's hanging out in Manhattan and saving the world and doing the things, and it's amazing. And she was literally the person that I was thinking about as I was making this bar. So I mean, this is her bar, but you know, also for everyone out on, you know, the front lines in the medical world, you know, fighting the COVID fight, and the amazing sacrifices that you're making away from your family and all the things. And yeah, that is day 73, the Lifeline soap. It's got rosemary and mint and some of the rosé, and I'm super happy with this. This is great. I love it. Soap, and as you can see, definitely had some problems with the mica lines. That was actually a pretty comical situation throughout the entire thing, because I'm not getting the mica line down right, Georgia May's not getting the mica line down right. We were convinced that the entire thing was going to be a fail, but when we cut into this bar and saw it, it's absolutely breathtaking. I love everything about it, and I am very happy to have made it. And definitely shipped out soaps from the first batch to one of my favorite Sudsers ever in Manhattan before I made them available for you. Now, if you are interested in them, they are on the website and they will be available for a limited time. So you can find them at soapandclay.com. If you are interested in following me on social media, I'm there, do the thing, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And yeah, if you are interested in more soapy antics and seeing, you know, the creative process and the scientific process behind formulating recipes and then doing the designs and all of the things, then subscribe to the channel, because we are doing this every single day, as you know, the name 365 Days of Soap might suggest. And to that, I am done for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.